Alder Dorf.
Here.
Jim Blumrick.
I'm here.
Melanie Parma.
Here.
And Debbie Deakin here.
Oh, thank you all for
We
coming.
have a quorum.
We have a quorum, thank you. And with that, first item on the agenda is approval of said agenda. What are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That agenda is approved. Now, the first item is consideration with possible action on draft 2019 annual action plan and funding recommendation for the RDA.
Okay, so that's me. It's that time of year again. Well,
Well,
actually, it's
some are
2019.
new.
We never know when
Okay,
it's that time.
yeah. Okay, so the city of Green Bay is an entitlement community, and each year we receive community development block grant funds and funds to distribute in our community. But with that, each year, we have, well, at the beginning, we had to have a consolidated plan which lists out our 5-year goals and objectives for this type of funding in our area. And then each year, we have an annual action plan that dives farther in and specifically sets up a budget for each type of activity that we want to do, or project that we want to do. So in your packet, we have met I have had a public hearing to get testimony from the public to see what the needs are in the community, where they would like to see the funding going. And then I've also met with departments and with department heads to find out what their suggestions and what their needs are. And through all of that, I collected the information, we brought it to our projects team group as a staff, and we put together these recommendations for funding. It follows it's very similar to the prior 2 years because we're still working on that 5-year consolidated plan. So most of the categories are what we have done in the past. The dollar amounts are very close to what we have budgeted in the past as well. And I guess I should say this year, we're receiving more block grant funds than we did in 2018 and 2017. There's an increase. So we're receiving.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
How much?
This year we're receiving $1,013,190.
Which is how much more than last year, though?
1,313.
It's 12,000.
It's 12,000
Oh.
more.
12,000 more than last
Because
year.
doesn't it look like it went up a lot? Like to 329, 552?
Yep, it's been increasing from previous years. In 2017, we received $927,456. And 2018, we received $996,751. And then this year, our allocation is $1,013,190.
Oh, you have a hard copy? Yeah. Oh, I like a hard copy. Okay, I don't need a hard copy. There you go. Thank you. It'd just be easier to compare across.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're also approving estimated program income.
Estimated program income. And on the second column of this spreadsheet, I have program income. And this is based on what we've received last year. This could be any of our rehab loans that are repaying, that are the deferred loans that are out there. We have thousands of dollars out there in block grant funds that those loans may come back in and recycle, so that's generating program income back into this program. And then we have our economic development revolving loan fund. That is each month, so much money per month comes in for those loan payments on those loans, and that goes directly back into the revolving loan fund. So I'm anticipating $300,000 worth of program income coming back into the program. $200,000 of that is going to go directly back into that economic development program, and then the remaining $100,000 will go back into the neighborhoods and different types of activities underneath the CDBG eligible area projects, whether we use it for acquisition, demolition, rehab, emergency repair, historic preservation. There's a wide range of activities that we can use that money for. So Would you like me to go through each line item, or did you get a chance to look over? Do you have questions?
I'd say let's talk about the footnotes first, the
Okay.
limitation on public services.
Yeah. So limitation on public services, we cannot spend over 15% of our allocation each year on public service activities. So those type of activities are like our fair housing activity, any sort of service that we provide to the community, whether it's through a nonprofit organization that provides services in the area, no more than 15% of the total allocation can go to that. So right now, we have 106,000 of that set aside for those type of activities. The fair housing activity is something that's required, but we don't have the staff to do it in-house, so we always contract that out each year. The cost has gone up, well, it's staying the same since 2018, but it did go up from 2017, only $5,000. Community gardens, we support the Community Gardens UW Extension with the Green Bay Community Gardens. So we put 12,000 in there. That's to support those community gardens that are in Green Bay. Our public arts coordinator, we have her on staff. She provides services and she administers the beautification arts program under CDBG eligible areas. So she provides projects, or she creates projects.
In our eligible areas.
Yes.
So she concentrates those efforts on this allocation of dollars to put art in our block grant eligible areas.
Is that, I just drove past the wildlife sanctuary, and I saw the palm tree. Is that from this? Or is
You know,
that from
I'm not
the-
sure if that is funded, that's funded
Okay.
through the PAC, I think, the Public Arts Commission.
Oh, okay.
And so she might have been, had her hat up for that. So I
Okay.
don't know if that was block grant, I don't think it
No,
was, but
It's kind of cool.
No.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's very cool.
I think it's the same artist who did the cactus in our front.
And then we put in 10,000 for an inspector intern, which is a possibly a new job creation this year.
It's coming to the RDA at your Tuesday meeting to request that position.
Okay.
So we're a little backwards on that, but.
Yeah. So this year, we're going to be moving some of our 2018 money into this program, but it has to go through personnel as well.
Actually, it doesn't, we just
Oh,
wanted
we-
to say that it
okay.
doesn't, it's
It
considered
doesn't have to.
seasonal, so.
Okay. All right. And that position is to help our housing and zoning inspectors follow up on inspection issues
The
in the
exterior
summertime.
complaints in the summer.
We really need that.
Yes.
And then we are,
So if this is successful, then we're looking
Yeah.
at funding it next year. If it's not successful, we'll want to reallocate those dollars.
Kind of
Right.
similar to what we did with the police department
Right.
and their
CSI.
insurance
Yep.
there, right?
yes, yes. And then we have an open category, it's open public service, so this, we would like to create 4 $10,000 grants and have it open to the nonprofits within our community to come in and request those funds to provide a service within the city of Green Bay that will help either load them on clientele or an area benefit or some sort of benefit to, that follows the CDBG regulations.
Can you think of an example of one that's happened before?
We have funded the Literacy Council.
Okay.
We have funded
Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club, we've My Brother's Keepers,
Keeper.
NeighborWorks, Freedom House in the past,
Okay.
and those types of organizations.
I mean, sometimes we take a focus that, you know, the committee might say, well, we need to concentrate on job training or some type of focus, and that's how we put that RFP out there for those services, so, or crime prevention or something like that. So.
So this is a little different, you know, being a senior member in this group.
Yeah.
We used to have all of those that were asking for money under this particular category come to the meeting, and we'd go through the proposals and so on, and then decide what goes forward and what doesn't. Here, we're doing a little bit different in that we're amending $40,000 for the broad category, and when then do we receive and work
Once
on the...
once we receive our allocation here, then we'll send out an RFP requesting specific type of services, like Cheryl said, that
Okay.
we think would, benefit the community. And then that will come before the RDA to approve those awards.
Not before this.
Well, I could have it come before the I could have
In
it
the past,
come.
we've done it both ways in the
Yeah.
past. We could have it come before the subcommittee, and then you make a recommendation to the RDA.
But then that means we just listen to it twice. And most of the RTA is sitting right here.
A lot
Well,
of
it
it
depends
depends
if you-
upon how many proposals.
I guess.
How many
Yeah.
proposals you get,
Yeah.
and.
Yeah.
right.
I see,
Yes.
because we could narrow it down
And I
to
could
the
definitely-
subcommittee and then
Right.
just the top ones go.
Well,
Our
and
only
or we would just
recommendations
we
make a
are-
notify
recommendation.
everyone about the subcommittee meeting, so they have an opportunity to speak. So it's up to the RDA at that point of awarding whether you want to open floor again, and revisit that, but.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
didn't,
wanted to streamline it if we can.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything on last year's.
No, we didn't, because we had carryover from the prior year, from 2017. So we didn't allocate anything to that last year. So that's why we're putting 40,000 back into it.
I guess just from my perspective, I'd recommend we bring it back here.
Great.
So it's kind of like a committee doing the council's work ahead of time,
Mhm.
right? We
Yep.
would be doing the work ahead of time and make a recommendation for the RDA itself.
Okay.
Because the RDA meetings can get long without this.
So are we a quorum
Mhm.
of the RDA?
You're the subcommittee of the RDA.
Okay.
So this,
Okay,
you
okay.
report
Okay.
back to the RDA.
Okay.
And then
Yeah, we're not the final say on this topic. It'll go to the RDA and we'll make the recommendation.
Okay.
So when I see on the 2017, like the, probably family and childcare resource, right,
Mhm.
and literacy, those were both part of that open.
Yes.
chat.
Yes.
We need point of clarification. You're
Yeah.
talking about when the proposals come.
Yes.
They would come
Correct.
here.
Yes.
And it wouldn't be next Tuesday.
No, no,
That
no.
would-
Oh, no.
But we will then
Okay.
approve this next Tuesday.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I-
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we won't send out the RFPs till we actually get the
Right.
funding, which
Funding.
probably will
Right.
not be till August or September.
Okay.
So, yeah,
We hope.
we hope.
We're not in a rush.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our breakout of what we are proposing for our public service section of our block grant funding,
Okay.
which is well below that 15%
Mhm.
of the total allocation. And we recommend giving 150 to the parks. The park department would like to use that funding to repair walkways or put new walkways in, or ADA accessible areas for the various parks. They don't have the parks set out yet, but could be any eligible area, CDBG eligible area park within the city of Green Bay.
I
So
think they
that's-
take those recommendations actually to our committee.
Yes,
when they
it
look
did
at
go to
those
the park
funding.
committee.
It did?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
on my
Mhm.
sheet.
Is this your only copy? We'll take it.
Nope, that's okay. No, you can take it.
Just
I've got-
memorize.
Yep, I got it memorized, yes.
So we won't have any arguments then with Park or DPW on
No,
those?
no.
Okay.
And then the DPW section, we're requesting we propose 150,000 to do some sidewalks and alleys that they typically do, that are in our CDBG eligible areas to make those neighborhoods, so people don't have to pay for their assessments if they can't afford it.
So both of them have gone down by $50,000?
Yes.
So why is that?
Last year, we put 200,000 in there, and that was because we wanted 50,000 from the parks and 50,000 from DPW to go down into the shipyard area.
Mhm.
So they have not spent that, that money is gonna go down
I
into the
see.
shipyard area.
Okay.
So
then the
that's
year
why we just
before-
backed
I
off,
see.
yes. And the year before, we only did 150.
Thank you.
Yep. And then our economic development facade and demo grant program, we have expended all of our funds, and that program is up and running, has been advertised, and is doing very well within the city, so they are requesting $50,000 so that they can do more in that program. Our economic development revolving loan fund has spent all of their money, and they are now just using the revolving money that is coming in. So they have been, that's been a very successful program. Last year, 2 businesses received loans, and I think they created 17 jobs, full-time equivalent jobs within, because of using this funding. So they would like to keep that fund going and requested $100,000 so that they can award more loans. They have a list of people who are waiting. And then we have our CDBG eligible projects areas. This is activities that we can do within a HUD mapped out area that says in these block groups, census tracts block groups, these are the loan lot areas that you can work and use this fund in, and you can do it through acquisition, demolition, rehab, reconstruction, infrastructure, and then historical preservation. So there's a lot of different activities that we can use. Currently, we do have a rehab program that runs through this. And we have an emergency repair program that runs through this. We do acquisition.
This is when you
So-
see the special projects that
Yeah.
come through. Nonprofits, we're drawing usually from that, so.
To some extent, the word administration is a little misleading then. I mean, it's not all administration in my mind. It actually, a portion of it, or most of it, does go to projects.
I'm sorry.
On the
what- and then-
CDBG administration.
I think we were talking about a different category.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
We went back up.
Oh, we
you
went
went
back
to
up to
eligible.
eligible areas.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
skipping around.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the administration, that is
That is
just
administration.
administration of the program. That's our office salaries,
Okay.
supplies, things like that. And we are capped at 20% of the allocation for that. So we can't go above that dollar amount for admin fees. So that is right at the max. That's 20% of what the allocation is, so.
My only other tidbit of memory is that for the fair housing services,
Mhm.
they have to be certified in some manner to run a program as such.
We usually, we go out for bid with requirements that they are qualified to do testing and surveying and, you know, a comprehensive, right, look at fair housing in the area.
Mhm.
They're kind of the agency you go to if there's a complaint. If there's a fair housing complaint, we refer them to that entity. And for now, it's Metropolitan Fair Housing Council.
Yep. They
It's
have
kind of
a
the only
satellite
big-
office out of Appleton.
Yeah,
Yes.
in the area that does that.
Mhm.
But we bid that out every year.
Right.
We're required to do that.
So that'll come back when the funding is approved along with the other.
Correct.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Other questions? Do you see a need to open the meeting for whatever reason? I mean,
For
I
the
know
block
that-
grant funding?
Yeah, at the next meeting, public comment is very appropriate because we'll have all the submittals for
Mhm.
requested
Mhm.
budget.
Mhm.
Well, do you want to go through the home funds
Yep.
and then maybe ask that question?
Good
'Cause-
Yeah.
idea.
Yep,
Yep,
because there's
okay.
another section. So this would just be our block grant allocation. Our home allocation dropped from last year, but that's not anything new because that's usually the one that's on the chopping block of saying that they're not even going to fund the home program anymore. So we went from $551,102 last year to $519,455. So not that big of a drop, but still $30,000, 35, something like that. Our staff recommendations for allocations for this program are in line with.
Krista, just talk about home, what you can use home money for.
Oh, home
Different
money?
from block grant,
Yeah,
which is more
okay.
comprehensive.
Home money can only be used for affordable housing activities. So you can use home money to rehab, to build new construction, affordable housing, rental, anything that has to do with affordable housing, you can use home funds for. So you couldn't use home funds for like infrastructure or like CDBG activities, like public service activities. You couldn't use this funds for that. This is more of the building, constructing affordable housing. So our allocations are in line with last year. We run a single-family rehab program here. We have for several years since I've been here, so over
Several
23 years.
decades.
Yep, several decades. And that is a very successful program. If you're income qualified, you can get a loan to rehab your house if you're having some issues and you can't afford to go to the bank and get. So these are deferred loans.
0% interest.
0% interest that you don't have to pay until you no longer live in this
Or
home.
you sell it. Yeah,
Or you sell this. So we have some loans that are out there for a long, long time. Down payment closing cost assistance, we usually RFP this out, and NeighborWorks usually provides these loans to low to moderate income individuals within the city of Green Bay to purchase their first-time home. And then we have part of this allocation, again, 15% of this allocation needs to be set aside to a community. Set aside for a community housing development organization. We call it a CHODO. So they do affordable housing within the area, but they got to qualify as a CHODO under the federal regulations. So we put 100,000 into that category for any CHODO to come in and request funding for that.
What other ones are there?
Well, currently, we only have one CHODO, and that is NeighborWorks Green Bay. Yeah. We tried to reach out to more, try to get more, but it's hard because you have, the board makeup has to be a certain way underneath the federal requirements, so if you have an established board, it's hard to get the turnover
Change
that
your
you
board
would need.
members out.
Yeah, change your board members out.
Get that makeup.
Yeah. And then we have administration costs underneath this program as well, but we can only use 10% of our allocation for administration costs. So this is basically this is staff salaries, supplies, anything like that to run the program. And then we have what?
Reporting time.
Reporting time. Yeah. And then we have housing development advancement projects, and this is for any for-profit, nonprofit, any affordable housing project or organization that is going to create affordable housing can come in and ask for funding to subsidize their project if they have a gap or are, to make that project go.
So in the past, we worked with Habitat, we worked with Broadway Lofts,
Mhm.
Firehouse Flats, NeighborWorks.
Platinum Place.
Platinum Place, Whitney Townhomes, not Whitney Townhomes. Yes, Whitney
Yeah,
Townhomes.
Whitney Townhomes.
Renovators
Mhm.
project.
How do you
Yeah.
quantify affordable?
Federal guidelines.
Yeah, federal guidelines.
80%
Is it 80%
for home.
for home?
So oftentimes we'll work, if we see a developer coming in to do just a market rate project, we'll be like, hey, how about 3 of those units?
Right.
Set aside,
Home
set
funded.
aside X amount,
Right,
So,
and then we can subsidize that project.
right.
and then NeighborWorks subsidizes the same.
Right, yep.
So for these type of projects, like Cheryl said, you could have multiple housing in that and have mixed incomes in these projects, or it could be all affordable. But based on the amount of subsidy that we give them for the project, that determines how many units have to stay affordable for a length of time.
15 years?
Depends on what you're doing.
How much
Yeah.
money you take.
Right.
different guidelines for the different
Yeah,
amount of monies.
different amounts have different years. And then if it's new construction versus rehab, that makes a difference as well.
And program income is back up to 150 estimate.
Yep, that's based off of last year, what we received. It's conservative. I hate to go over, so hopefully we'll be receiving more than just the 150,000, but based on the repays that we have had from 2018, I thought that this would be right around the amount that we would be receiving in 2019. So 10% of the program income on this, in this program can go to administration. So I did put 10% of that for admin, and then the remainder of that, because they are loan repays, it just revolves back into that single-family rehab program that we have established.
Any questions? Think globally, act locally, that's what this is to me. Right?
These are recommendations that we make to the city council.
So
And
that's
also will
what-
ultimately approve this.
And so when do you expect again, August, do you think the final budget will come in for us to go through the detailed organization
Yes.
reviews?
Probably this summer we
Yeah,
work on
probably this
that.
summer we'll work on it and get it out so that when it does come through, we'll have those applications all reviewed and
Mhm.
ready to go, so they're in the queue and this summer.
I appreciate the good explanation, having not been on this committee
Mm,
before.
mhm.
So it really helped me to have you explain all that and have this
Yeah,
really well written
and
out.
these numbers can be moved around if you think something should receive more or less, but these are just our staff recommendations based on.
Based
what-
on experience and
Mhm.
expertise,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Historical data.
And this dollar amount has not been approved by the federal government, so the budget itself may modify bottom line.
No, this is our budget.
It
This
is,
is what we're
okay.
going to be receiving.
Mhm.
We just don't get the money until we have this annual action plan done and submitted and approved
Okay.
by HUD.
Okay.
But these are our allocations that we will be receiving.
Okay. All right. For some reason, it seems early that we get the final amount. Really
Well, it's 2019, so you'd hope you'd get it in February.
Yeah.
Should be
Some
getting it.
years we
Because we
have.
should be receiving it in February.
We should be getting it in
Our program year
February.
starts February 1st.
Yeah, we were supposed to get our new markets by March.
Yeah.
Right. So we're pretty, I mean, if we get them in July or August, we're
Mhm.
like, yay,
Yeah.
because it's been later.
Jeez.
Yep.
It doesn't take much to make you happy.
Yeah, right.
No.
Okay. With that, I'll go back to the comment I made. I don't know that it's appropriate to open the floor. I think that's more appropriate when we get the final allocation and we send out RFPs for submittal against these line items, right?
Yep.
Unless anyone has
Unless-
commentary about the line items. You know, comparatively speaking, then, like, you should fund us comparatively. I think you should move 100 from here to here or something to that effect, but.
Well, I'll leave it up to the committee if they want to do that. Otherwise, I don't see a need to do that just now. And we can do that at the meeting when we assign the budgets as well.
Well, this will go to the RDA on Tuesday. To approve this.
Can
as
always
the
be
RDA.
modified though, yeah.
Yes.
On Tuesday.
This will be,
And it could be
your actions are
modified at the
forwarded.
common council as well.
Right.
But not the next, I mean, obviously it's not going Tuesday night to come to council, right?
No.
We'll have to wait.
No, it'll wait till
Well, no, maybe
the
week
last
of
The
the
meeting.
21st, to May 21st.
The 21st.
Yep.
Okay, what are your wishes with the draft 2019 annual action plan and funding recommendation for the redevelopment authority?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve, do I have a second? And a second, do we have any further conversation? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by, oh, we have to vote online, sorry.
Oh, okay.
What?
All right, I just think so.
I am pressing the button.
passed unanimously.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Krista.
Both, we don't have to do both items.
That's-
And next item.
Number two.
Number
Well-
two. Okay.
That is part of the,
I thought it was, it's
well, that is
different?
part of the action plan, though.
Okay, so that's different
Well,
than number.
We haven't gotten down specifically on those type of activities for these types of projects. So what we're talking about on this next item is how we want to take a look and come up with a plan for activities for these specific projects.
I see. I was,
So-
yeah, I was thinking that it was combined, but it's not combined.
No.
You've
It's
approved
separate.
you've approved the home budget. with
Right,
Those line
as we did.
items.
Right.
I guess we want to
First,
talk to you probably specifically about one line item within that home budget, which is being
Currently
precipitated
what we
by
have,
request.
and then moving forward into 2019.
Okay, so which agenda item is that?
Item two.
Number two under regular
The
business.
CDBG projects?
Mhm.
That's listed as an attachment, not as an item.
No,
No,
there's a-
consideration with
I
possible
think
action
you're-
on funding levels for.
Go back to
I know, I
the
had,
original
I think,
agenda.
yeah, go back one, I just had to do that too. Regular business,
Yeah.
1, 2.
Sorry, I was in the wrong one.
Here
All right.
it is.
Yep. Okay. I stand corrected. Item number 2.
Okay, so this item, we wanted to bring forward to you, we have talked it over from our project team and multiple funding team, and we have wanted to get some guidance on our home funding. So as part of our 2018 funding, we have the line item Housing Development Advancement Projects.
Yes.
So in that, you can do activities, right, you can do activities that are new construction, single-family homes, new construction, rental, you can do rehab, existing homes, rehab, rental, you have all those categories. Currently, we have a home application that when somebody is requesting these homes, they come in and I send them out an application. They can fill out the application, show us their gap. I underwrite the project to see if it's viable. And then I bring it forward to you guys at the RDA meeting for approval. Well, with our home fundings being cut and what we have currently, we are getting home applications where that gap is increasing. Their subsidy requests are increasing due to building costs. Everything is increasing.
Yes.
And I guess we want to get some guidance on that, because if we continue to just do single-family building homes, we're going to use up all of our funding on that, and we'd only get a couple units of affordable housing, as opposed to if we move in a direction for rental housing, we might get more units of affordable housing.
So in the past, we've been able to get a new home on site for 20,000 subsidy to a nonprofit. Now that's, and then it's increased to like 40, 60, now we're seeing that as an $80,000 grant to get a single-family property built on an infill site. Which is, it's, you know, the costs are going up, everything's going up for that cost. And one of the things that we found when, and you'll have this at the RDA meeting,
Yes.
we just got our impediments to fair housing report back, which I'm sure you'll all
I'll
read.
read it.
because
It's
they're very lengthy.
It's
But
attached
how
to your
many?
packet, 105 pages.
That's
It's
not
a,
big.
it's a requirement that we need to get that, but one of the findings that came out of the study was that Green Bay is short on studios, 1 and 1-bedroom apartments,
1 and 2 bedroom.
and accessible
apartments.
housing. So one of the things I think as staff, we looked down at how we have funded home. You know, we have $100,000 allocated for down payment closing costs, which
Mhm.
gets new people into a home.
Yep.
We have $100,000 allocated for rehab, which keeps people in their home, right? We have $100,000 that goes to Chodo, which is generally a rehab, like a rehab resale or, you know, concept like that, I think. or potentially new construction, which leaves us with this $100,000 that we can be using for things. I think as staff, we kind of looked at that and said, we probably should be meeting the needs that have been told to us in our report, which is more towards rental. The smaller units or the accessible units, that we should be funding those projects compared to doing 2 new home builds with this allocation a year. So we're just looking for feedback on that, and there are some people here I'm thinking that might want to speak to that. I mean, we've Habitat here and NeighborWorks here, and there are 2 entities that we do the majority of our work with.
Well, I like to hear what they have to say.
Make a motion to open the floor.
That's why we motion to wait a second.
Second.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Put you on the spot, I don't know if you want to speak, but I give you the opportunity to.
Yeah. So we put in a request for 2 proposals that we're hoping to start this fall. And it's basically, we've had a partnership with the RDA to cover gap funds to build 2-story homes. Just to give you a little bit of history briefly, we normally build single-story homes, and because of some of the properties in the city of Green Bay are requiring the 2-story, we have partnered with the RDA in the past to cover the gap costs to pay for those expenses.
And a garage.
Yeah, yes.
It's for everybody, that's normal.
Yeah.
I know, I know.
Thankfully in this climate. You know, so these 2 new projects are nothing different than what we've asked for in the past. We can't have our volunteers on the 2 stories because of insurance reasons, and so we have to sub out that. That's really where a lot of our costs come from, labor. Normally, how we keep our cost low at Habitat is volunteer labor. Of course, we have to sub out for electrician, plumbing, all of that kind of things, but we keep a lot of our costs low in our single-story homes with volunteer labor. With the 2 stories, we've been really fortunate to partner with the RDA and those gap funds to be able to satisfy the requirement of the existing architectural in the neighborhood, to be able to build an affordable home and still sell it at affordable housing to low to moderate income families. And so those gap funds have been used to cover the expenses and the labor for those 2 stories. So of course we have standards by Habitat International, the size of home that we can build also. And so, you know, that's out of our scope, and so that also covers those extra, you know, you start stretching your square foot, then you have more flooring, more heating, more this. So that's really what the expenses have been. So there's been 2 proposals. We've asked for, again, just to give you the history, $25,000 to cover those gap funds in 2015, $30,000 in 2016, $40,000 in 2017, also $40,000 in 2018, and this year we're requesting, without the construction developer fee, $49,000 on one property and $51,000 on another property. So
Which is basically the entire budget.
It is.
So then
Right.
to clarify, right, that's just yours, we can do fewer
Right,
things.
right.
But the demand is more for
The need for Green Bay
Is
for
rental.
affordable housing is gearing towards rental, which I guess isn't a surprise to us because just, you know, Broadway Lofts is built, Firehouse Flats, they see that need here, but, so I think the need is turning more to rental. I don't know, people are aging and are needing rental units or
even young families, I mean,
Young
young
families.
people, that's the trend, to not go and buy a starter home,
Yep.
to rent.
Right.
That seems to be the trend.
And I think with the Habitat, and correct me if I'm wrong, those 2-story builds, which, you know, they look phenomenal when they're done though.
They are nice.
But aren't even using volunteer labor on the 2 builds, right? 'Cause
we
it's too
are about
difficult or-
halfway through.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't, we do all the exterior with contractors, all the interior insulating, drywall, paint, finish work, all that is done by volunteers, so.
And it's still coming in at 210,000 for a new construction build? See, that, to me, that's like.
Our single stories
You know, that's how much-
have gone, last year we were
Right.
at a 26% increase
Just on the single.
on our single story homes, 26%
So what does Habitat do then? Or, I mean, where to get funds?
here. We get, obviously,
Private.
we do our own fundraising, we apply for grants, but our costs are continuing to go up, which means, just like you guys are experiencing, you can only help so many.
Right.
We have to help less and less too, because our costs are going up, that means we're serving less families, because we only get so much funding. You know, so we rely on that pretty heavily, the community, you know, we get private donors, sponsors, grants, Habitat doesn't give us funds, we don't get funds from the state or federal.
Yeah.
We're on
Income
our
from
own.
mortgages.
Yeah, we do have our revolving fund, so our homeowners pay back that 0% interest-free loan. So by those payments, we're able to continue our mission to build more homes.
Right.
Well,
And
I
it's
see
it's that
it's
0% interest.
It's at 0%
It's that
interest.
0% interest mortgage that makes that home affordable. to
Correct.
have.
Yep.
Otherwise, 220, you'd never get anybody in there.
No.
So.
Well, and
I
really
mean,
the
it's-
subsidy.
Well, we're selling it for fair market value or whatever the homeowner can afford. So we're already upside down on it, which is why we're saying we need.
But still, it
funds.
doesn't have any interest
No
in the
interest.
payment, so
Nope.
the payment is quite a bit smaller.
Correct.
And just to clarify, we still work with Habitat on
Right.
single-story builds, because we can work with them through our enhancement program. We can deed the lot, we can do the $20,000, $25,000 grant on that to assist them to build.
So that's different money than this?
That's different money than this money. So, I mean, we're still gonna work with Habitat, it's those two-story infills that
Two-story.
are getting to be like really costly. And I'm not sure, are they your favorite builds? I'm not sure.
Well, we've,
I feel like they're very difficult, you have to,
I mean,
you have to
I'll-
coordinate everything, right?
I'm one of the construction managers, Matt Sauce. I wouldn't say it's our favorite build, but what we've been trying to do is adjust to accommodate our schedule. So the proposal this year is that we're gonna build these over winter, which is generally a time that our volunteer labor force is low. It's generally a time that it's snowy, cold, and then, so we can work with our contractors to get it built earlier, and then when it's, less ideal building conditions for our volunteers, we can be inside, which then we're hoping to be able to attract more volunteers on that end, for our end of it.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at like long-term housing. You know, I mean, this is a number that's out there, and it's a prediction that by the year 2030, 83% of all households will be childless. So what is going to be the necessity for building? The necessity is going to be for smaller single-family homes, and it's going to be for apartments. So I understand that, and believe me, I think the two-story design fitting into the neighborhoods is great, right? But maybe that should be left up to the market to determine what gets built there. And I know that you can't serve larger families like that.
Yeah, that's what these properties really are. We
Right.
have very large families that
Yes.
apply to Habitat because they can't
Yep.
find affordable
Right.
rental housing.
Yeah. I
And
understand.
so, we need,
I'm
these
in
two
the
stories
housing
are
business,
perfect
I
for that
understand.
because we can serve larger families.
And I've personally
Good job.
sponsored a family to get, and they have been living in a Habitat home for probably the last 12 or 13 years. A family with 7 family members.
I also think that it's important to follow the recommendations of what HUD is saying, as in what HUD says Green Bay needs, right?
Well, it's
The
not
study.
HUD,
It's
this
the
is the
study.
Oh,
study
just a
from,
study.
an organization that did the study for us.
Okay.
Looking at the census data and
Okay.
comparing all of that.
Is that a regular
Specific.
full-blown housing study?
Not a full-blown housing study, no.
Okay.
It's the impediments to fair housing, it's the thing that's keeping people out of housing.
In their study, they found that 2/3 of Green Bay is single-family owner occupied. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what people like. I mean, when I'm being on city council, anybody suggests an apartment building or not, oh my God, dogs and cats living together, I mean, the whole thing. It's just the
Which is unfortunate because,
Because they don't want, they
And-
want.
yeah.
Can we, I
So
mean, what about a compromise of one? And, I mean, I'm not saying for sure, but that's another thing.
We'd be open to that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and we were proposing these two together because they're basically back-to-back, which
Right
would,
next to each
which would help us to cut some costs because we would have our contractors put them both up at the same time. They're on this, essentially on this site at the same time.
And how much money do we have again?
Currently, we have
So we
100,000.
can do 5.
And then next year,
ones?
we'd have 100,000.
Is that what we're saying?
Or
Is that what
this
it's-
year.
No,
It's
or
not
something
5.
different. It's
No,
something
I think
2018, we have 100,000. 2019, we will be having 100,000.
And 18 is not
Okay,
spent.
what's the
18 is not
choice?
spent yet.
What's the choice?
so I think what we're looking at for the 19 funding source is that we concentrate on rental units instead of the single-family builds
That's
for that
recommendation.
$100,000. Now, you could say to us, we want you to go 50/50 or whatever, but we think we'd like to spend some money on some rental opportunities.
And we haven't done that.
We have, I mean,
But most of the focus has been on
Right,
the other.
but it's kind of a first come, first served type of process.
Right.
So very easily, you know, like with these two that are coming to the RDA on Tuesday, the habitat request, that would wipe out the year
Yep,
with two builds.
Yeah.
So,
right.
and if that's a decision, the RDA would, you know, like to continue to do these larger family, two builds, we can continue to do that. But we just looked at the cost of that two build, and I'm sorry, it was my understanding that I thought that it was very little labor, volunteer labor on those two stories. So that we thought, well, for 200 and whatever, 10,
Yeah.
12,000, we could probably build a house, a two-family house, and we wouldn't have to work with Habitat, who would have to deal with the volunteer labor and the construction and the design. We have designs already set that we would act as the general and build those out.
So how
We
many
thought we could do it cheaper than
families
that
can we
cost.
serve? We're talking about building one two-family house? Well,
Currently-
yeah, how many families would we
Currently,
serve?
our home application process is just open, so Habitat has submitted, that's why we're just talking about
Got it.
Habitat.
Yes.
And they can do two.
They could
Let's
do
just
two,
say
and
It
we
could just
eat
as
up our
easily
money.
NeighborWorks.
It could have been
That's what
NeighborWorks,
proposed.
it could have been any.
So let's say the next
In
person walks in the
addition.
door and wants to do rental.
Right.
How many people could they serve? I mean, how much?
It all depends on the project. I mean, if they come in with a single-family build, it's a single family. If they need.
I'm not talking about a single-family build now, I'm talking about.
Let me finish.
Okay.
If they come in and say, we're gonna do 4 units and we need 100,000, then that's 4
Then
units
that's
that would be
4.
subsidized.
Yes.
So it depends on the
That's
project.
kind of what I was looking at.
So, just to give you a comparison, maybe this would help,
Yeah.
is the Broadway Loss has home funding into it 100,000, but they're building 107 units. And 10 of those will be affordable housing, but they're all affordable housing on that Broadway Loss project. The Friary also is getting home funds, and they're using 100,000, but they're creating mixed use, and they're creating more than just one unit. They're creating, I think, 40-some units over there.
Our money
20.
doesn't make or break the 40 units. then,
No.
right? Our money might support home of the 40.
Well,
Based
depending
on
on
the home
the, it's
dollars?
based on the amount of the total cost of the project.
Right.
You divide out how much home funds, and that's how many units they are required to designate as a home unit.
So it's 10 units in Broadway Loft?
Yeah.
And then it's, how many in Firehouse Flats, 10? They got the same
It's
amount?
4.
4?
Yeah,
Okay.
And how much did they get?
100,000.
Oh, they did?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's serving, the other one is serving.
So all projects that come in are a little bit different, and you
Yeah.
have to look at them a little
I
bit
see.
differently, but it's just, the gaps are starting to get larger and larger and larger, and we just want some guidance on how many we, how many
Those are
people we would
both
like to
projects.
serve
How
within the
many, how
community.
to make our funds go further.
Yeah,
I'm still hung up on 2018 and 2019. We have not committed 2018's
no.
Correct.
money, so there's
We've
100,000.
committed some of it, but not all of it.
So is there some of that left over?
There's
There's
100,000
100,000.
balance in 2018.
18,
And
and
then
we're recommending
Just approve this
100,000
one,
for
which is gonna go.
2019.
Correct.
So I heard phase-in or,
Right.
partial. That would allow us the opportunity to phase in, I suppose, if we wanted to take a portion of the 200 in total
Mhm.
and designate it to two-story and the remainder to,
Or you can say in 2018, we're just gonna status quo like we're working, right? And then in 19, maybe we focus on rental, the upcoming dollars.
Or you limit the subsidy as a finite number, say we're only gonna
Right.
subsidize this, so we can get as many houses as we want, that option is out there.
Each project gets X amount of subsidy.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Had a decision,
Complicated.
yeah. And-
So,
yeah.
well, what do we act on Tuesday's meeting?
Tuesday's meeting, you're gonna have 2 requests from Habitat to use 18 home dollars for two builds.
Okay.
It's
49 and 51.
Yeah.
For 2018 home dollars for two home builds. And you'll also be acting on this plan for 19 to go forward.
Oh.
Brand new plan.
Okay.
19 to
Yeah.
go forward, even though we're in 19.
Yeah.
You see, that's what's
Because we're
confusing.
behind,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So there's two separate actions that are going on.
Okay.
Okay.
my mind goes to what Debbie had said, that, you know, we have a study that says we're short on, you know, studios and, you know, 1 and 2 bedrooms, right?
So moving forward with the
Affordable rental.
2019 money,
Is that-
we
You
look
could
at that,
direct- You could direct staff
To do that.
as
We
part of
can-
the 2019
and we could say
funding source. We're going to
2018
concentrate on rental.
Right, and we could say the 2018 funding could be used to
Mhm.
fund 2 stories.
But is that what you were recommending?
Yes, I mean, we're
That
just
is-
looking, we like, moving forward, we would like
Oh,
to utilize
I'm good
these
with that.
dollars, I think, in a
Yeah.
rental capacity,
Okay,
to help subsidize more units.
but since they were kind of caught off guard, I mean, I would just
Well,
like
yeah.
to,
Yes,
now
'cause
that
they're
people
applying
know
for the
it's
18.
coming, they'll know it's
Right,
coming.
yep,
Yep,
yep.
yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I like
Do we have any rental projects in mind? Or is it too early?
We don't have any, no.
People come to us, we work, Habitat doesn't, you don't, I'm going to say
No.
you don't do rentals, okay. We approach NeighborWorks, I'm sure, to see if there were some projects they were
NeighborWorks
looking
might
at
have
doing. Um,
But,
And
yeah,
then
the
developers just come forward, actually,
Okay.
Sure.
that are looking to do, people are doing more apartments, I think.
People that are used to
So-
doing these type of projects, that use they use the federal dollars, are comfortable going through the
Right.
process, so, like the Broadway lofts and
Right,
the Priory over there.
You're aware those funds are available, so that.
And that they're aware of the strengths as well. And
So the action that we would take is a
Attachments.
recommendation to the RDA, and then the RDA would take the final action
Mhm.
and send it on to council.
I have a motion.
We're still in,
We're still- but-
Make a motion to
Oh,
return
is there anyone
to-
else that
return
wants to
to-
Oh, yeah, is there anyone else that wants to speak?
No, I just kind of, I'm Jerry Tyrell from NeighborWorks, and I agree with a lot of what was said about the impediments to fair housing study. I was part of that focus group and learned a lot more than I contributed, and I think that, listening to what was going on in the room that day, you could summarize, we've been talking a lot about small, but you could summarize that session just in one word: accessible. I mean, that was the theme over and over and over, is accessible, our shortage of accessible. And so that really dovetails with some of the discussion that's been here about rental and smaller units, is it gives you the opportunity to incorporate accessible rental units, which is what we're doing, what we're looking at, adapting our townhome design to have, instead of just a row of townhomes, have the ends of those developments be up-down flats with the lower units being accessible rentals. So kind of everything we're looking at in terms of potential future rental projects have a strong accessible component to them to build that in for some level of the units. So I think small and accessible. And I guess another point too is, Cheryl, you're talking about the level of subsidy per unit. I think another thing too, even both with rentals and with single family, size is your best tool, one of your best tools to reduce that subsidy per unit and really try to leverage your dollars into the greatest number of units that we can look at. When you look at when you look at the average size of new construction today and the number of square feet, when you look at the housing stock that's in Green Bay and some of the sizes of the homes, there's a lot of people that want small homes, because when existing homes come up for sale, they don't sit, they sell, and yet nobody's building those. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to look at the small and those accessible components too.
one thing you find in that fair housing, impediments to fair housing study that was done is, on the other end, there's a dearth of 4 and 3 bedroom homes that are available for rental or purchase for large families. Although the trend is down, there's still that need out there. So it's another issue.
Thank you for your comments. So you want to go back and do regular session?
Yeah, I'll make a motion
Melanie?
to turn back to.
Second. Motion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Sitting on the RDA for I don't know how many years, 15 years?
Time, Jim.
seems like everything I see is rental units.
Really?
Well, I mean, you know, downtown Green Bay is rental, Broadway is
Right, because
rental.
then we always have the real estate guys saying, why aren't they
Yeah.
condos, right?
Yeah, Tom Weber, condos, I want condos.
Right.
So I just hang up back here and, gotta believe the study. Okay.
Well, a lot of the, think about though, we've got a couple of affordable housing, but a lot of housing's built that's
Mhm.
market.
Mhm.
It's all market rate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
1,000.
right, we look at the step
2,000
downs.
for rent.
Yeah,
That's
step down, yeah.
That's true. Okay, so what would you like the motion to sound like?
I'd like to say that we use the 2018 funding to fund the homes that, the two-story builds, and that moving forward, beginning with the 2019 funding, we focus more on accessible rental, what do I say, apartments or
Yeah,
rentals?
studios.
Because
Studio
I-
rentals,
yeah,
study,
rentals,
yeah.
just rentals,
Mhm.
accessible, smaller rentals.
Smaller.
Mhm.
And that would be a recommendation to the RDA.
The
right?
RDA.
Correct, yes.
The RDA, yeah.
So we have that as a motion, do we have a second?
I'll say.
Okay, use it.
Okay, we'll get to Melanie.
Give it to Melanie.
Motion and a second. Lisa, it's up to you.
We're way
How
off the
anxious
line.
are you looking?
Oh, it's not there yet.
Passed unanimously.
Okay, that motion is approved. Any other business to come before the subcommittee? Thank you for your time, thank you for your input.
That's it.
Motion adjourned.
Yeah.
Motion and a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Don't forget to leave the meeting.
And you said that
Oh.
report was going to be attached to